Should you retire early? Can you retire early? Retirement is a really difficult time because there's not a red X on the calendar for most people. How to know when it's time to retire and whether you should consider retiring early is something that's very important. Today we're going to do a video about it, 4 things that you should consider about retiring early. Now, a lot of what we're about to talk about is not financial in nature because, truth be told, retirement is only like partially financial. Now, that's an important part to me because I'm a financial advisor, but for most folks, the actual retirement part is the important part. The financial stuff is there to support it. And so we're going to talk today about some things that you might not have considered when thinking about retirement, because when we say retirement, the first thing that comes to mind for most people is like the money and do I have enough? And that's important. We'll talk about that. But we're going to talk about things that are more important than that. First up is your well-being. Oftentimes I see people that as they get close to retirement really don't want to do what they're doing anymore. They would love to retire, but they feel like they need to continue to grind it out because they have some notion in their mind of when it's appropriate to retire. And so they just keep after it. And here's the thing. I've said it before in videos, you're trading your time for money. Now, inevitably, we all do that in some form because you have to have financial means to exist. But when you don't have to trade your time for money anymore, you shouldn't. Because while money is very important, it's a valuable resource, time is infinitely more valuable than money. You just can't get more time. On top of that, if you're doing something that you're not enjoying and it's causing stress and strain, it might actually be shortening the amount of time that you have. And so I want you to think about the concept of how you're going to spend your time. People always, when they're talking to the financial advisor, talk about how they're going to spend their money, right? Because that's staring you right in the face. How you're going to spend your time, the fact that you spend time, and I don't mean the saying like, oh, how are you going to spend your time? Literally, time is currency. You're spending it. It's a useful resource and you can't get any more of it. And how you choose to use the time that you have, if work is straining, if work is draining, if work is no longer enjoyable to you and you don't have to do it, don't do it. That's the first sign that it might be time to retire. The best years of retirement are often the early years of retirement, what we refer to as the go-go years, the time when you're having the most fun, you're traveling, you're doing all of the fun stuff that you've been waiting to retire to do. And having those years early on in retirement can be the most valuable use of that time. Remember, it's a resource. How can you get the most from it? Well, you can make an argument that your time is more valuable at 62, 63, 65 than it is at 77, 78, 85, because while that's still good time, you're not going to be able to do all of the things at 85 that you can do at 62. And so if that's important to you, make the most of that time by having complete freedom of it. By the way, I'm Antonio Cibella. I'm a financial advisor who works with folks who are planning their retirement. And if you're enjoying the video, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Come on back, because if you do, you'll get notified when we put new stuff up. We got tons of content up about planning for retirement in that next phase in your life. Next up, I want to talk about purpose and passion. Again, not a particularly financial topic, but very meaningful when it comes to when you should retire and what you should do. If you have a passion for something else, if you've always wanted to learn a new language, if you want to spend a lot of time with the grandkids and really enjoy that phase of your life, if you want to travel, maybe you're passionate about volunteering with an organization, maybe there's something that you're involved in and it's been a small part of your life and you'd like it to be a much larger part of your life, but you just don't have time. Well, you might have time if you stop spending so much of it working. If it's just on the bucket list to do all of these cool things and you're postponing them by continuing to work and you don't enjoy the work, the passion is gone. You're not driving towards something, you're marking time. Embrace the thing that you're passionate about. Create the time to do it by retiring early. Now, the last consideration, it's going to be financial. I had to get something financial in the video, right? As a financial advisor, the most rewarding experience I have professionally is revealing to people the freedom that they have that sometimes they didn't know that they had. And what I mean when I say that is this. Oftentimes I've met with folks who are getting close to retirement and we start going through things. We take the inventory, we find out what they want to have happen. We talk a lot about goals and what they want their retirement to look like. And then I go off to my corner and I do a bunch of math. And coming back to that person sometimes and being able to say, listen, all of these things that you want, they're within reach. You could potentially retire right now, and here's how it would look. And sometimes that's a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years sooner than what they thought. And once they kind of wrap their head around that and they understand that I could have the next 5 years of my life that I was not intending to be able to have complete freedom over that. And they already possessed that freedom. They had already done the things to put themselves in that situation. They just didn't know it because it hadn't been brought to light to them. I can tell you that there's nothing better than that. And I've had those conversations and they're super awesome. And so here's what I would tell you. If you haven't done a plan, if you haven't dug into where you're at, do it, because you might actually already be at the destination and you just don't realize it yet. And if you find that out, oh, it's a really cool thing to be able to move on to that next phase, to the really fun stuff, instead of continuing on with what you were doing because you thought that you had to continue on doing it when in reality you do not. Now, how do you find out if that's you, if you're actually already there and you just didn't realize it yet? Well, the first step is watching this video right here, where we talk about how to assess if you're financially ready to retire now.